Hello and welcome to Chess with Simon. I'm Simon, recording at 10 to 2 in the morning. For some reason it just feels like a nice time to record. It's quiet outside, the wind is blowing, a little bit of rain. We are going to look at JanMur. He came 6th, so well done him. Great performance. Versus Winterowl, who came 3rd. This game is an absolute beauty. So it looks like they played a few times actually, but this one is tactically totally fascinating. D4, E5, the Englund Gambit. I think this is quite trendy at the moment, very tricky. There are lots of tricks in it. I've fallen for them. So white accepts the gambit, which is the most critical way. I mean, objectively, right, this is better for white, and the engine shows it, but getting there is not easy. So there's echoes, aren't there, of the it's the Budapest gambit. There's echoes of the Budapest D4, knight F6, C4, E5. So it's basically the Budapest without knight F6 and C4. And you could say, well, that's great for black because he doesn't have to waste a tempo moving the knight, although it probably goes to a place where it can attack the pawn. Anyway, white plays the book move to defend. Black plays the book move to attack the pawn again. White plays bishop f4. What does the engine think of that? It's alright. Look at this. Queen b4 check, forking the king and the bishop. So the engine wants to go bishop d2, and indeed the database wants to go bishop d2. White goes knight c3, put it in the way, and now taking that bishop doesn't win for black. We've got to know why, haven't we? I mean, I guess knight d5 suggests itself, but let's have a look. Taking, knight d5, queen e4. Knight forks king and rook. Right, so there's your answer. So white's an exchange up, but his knight may or may not be stuck in the corner. Okay. Wowie. So black declined that and instead took on b2. Now the engine's really liking white. I guess the engine believes the pawn is poisoned. But okay. So instead of bishop d2, white went for this, going for this fork. Black plays the check. White blocks with the knight. Gosh. And then knight d4, I assume this is heading for c2. Is that the idea? I mean, at the moment, if black had another move, I guess knight c2 wins the queen. Otherwise, it's checkmate. White defends it with the rook, but the engine points out that white could also defend it by taking on b4, but actually the engine prefers rook c1. Bishop backs off, I guess, because the bishop doesn't want to get taken by the knight, although it's just an exchange. And now look, the engine just thinks that white's running away with this. Certainly doesn't look that way to me. But what's the move? C3 is the move, is it? Come on, I suppose we've got to know, haven't we? C3. Knight runs. Knight c4. Queen takes. What's going on? E3 to defend the knight on c4. C6. This rook a1 is going to start coming in. You're going to start trapping this queen, aren't you? Rook a1. Okay. Queen for 2 minors. Oh, actually, no, you don't take here at the end. You take here. I mean, this is hard to see, right? And what's happened? Queen for 2 minors is what's happened. Okay, so pawn c3 would have introduced this variation, which essentially ends up trapping the queen. It's not an enormous shock. That queen has pretty short squares. But white played a developing move, hitting the knight, developing with tempo. And then developing the bishop. But now black can play c6. which traps that knight. That knight that was causing a threat to c7, and black's played it. And white has confused things by hitting the black queen. Looks like queen a3 is a good move for black. I mean, this is so complicated, isn't it? You know, I mean, this is fascinating to play this in Blitz. How's the time? They're both actually playing very quickly. Takes here, you can't take with the queen because the rook hangs. Got to take with the king. King in the middle of the board, but there probably aren't enough black pieces and there are lots of white pieces, so you're probably going to be all right. Queen's got to move, so queen a3 was preferred by the engine. Now the knight can come back with tempo. Now the queen runs. So as the dust clears, what do we say? Well, what we say is that no one's lost a piece. Pieces are equal, and the pawns, I mean, material-wise, black's 2 pawns up. I suppose the point is that black's not very developed, and also, for instance, the bishop on c8 is kind of buried. Hit the queen. Look at that. It's +3, and it's +3 probably because of the weakness on d6. Knight e4, d5, e takes, queen d8. Yeah. Okay. I mean, okay, what would you play as white? Knight e4, right? Okay, this is not a bad idea. Get the rook on an open file. Hitting the queen. Developing a knight is sensible. Just developing pieces is sensible. Defended by the rook. And then white hits the rook. The rook moves. This is just one of those things. You're just dropping a piece. I mean, is rook h7, I suppose, is the option, isn't it? Rook h7. And black can hang on a bit longer, but it's certainly true that black's development is troubling. So you swap here and then play knight e4 and look at that d6 square. d5, d5 is the only way out. Take en passant. Queen runs to d8. Yeah, and white's attacking. So what do we make of all of this? What we make of all of this is that we have to be prepared against this gambit because it's a horror. I mean, I play things like I take it and then I just play e4. Isn't that boring? I just play e4 and just say, you know, probably. You see, white's a bit better here, and there's no trouble. You don't get any of those problems. That's my recommendation because I think it's quite hard to learn this. So after this check, you've got to play. Let's look at the main line. Bishop d2. Queen takes. This is where I got caught. Queen takes. So I got caught with this nonsense. Queen takes, attacking the rook. So then I felt the need to play bishop c3. And look, it's just completely gone. Black's just won. I thought, well, bishop c3 defends the rook. He's got bishop b4, and all of a sudden you can't take the queen, and your bishop's attacked twice. And then I think I really did go ahead and play queen d2. Does queen d2 cause a complete catastrophe? Then the bishop takes. I think I might even have taken with the queen one day. Checkmate in 1. How amusing. Anyway, so it's an enjoyable and tricky opening, but I wouldn't play it in classical chess in the candidates tournament, I'll put it that way. But would I play it in a Blitz tournament? I certainly would, and it was a lot of fun. So well done, guys. And next we're going to look at winterowl's game, one of winterowl's games. Winterowl did come third. Great achievement. So well done. And let's see who winterowl is. Chris Evans, chess, reading, sci-fi, fantasy, World of Warcraft, and doing very well in Blitz tournaments. Well done, Chris. You're next. It's 2 minutes to 2. I'm going to bed.